invention of the wheel. It's a feeling inside all of us that compels us to go further, reach higher, and dream of ways to achieve the unachievable. When the odds are stacked against us and it seems like the entire world wants to tell us no, that's not possible. Surely that can't be done. And we look up to the stars and say, just watch me. Because we know that rules are made to be broken. We know that dreams are made to be followed. That the impossible is made to be possible. And that gaming consoles are made to evolve. Welcome to the next level in gaming innovation. The KF Console.
All right, guys, what is up, everybody? My name is...
Move on to
No, we're
Japan,
not
because what
listening to this
happens if you
newscast. All right, guys, but what's up, everybody? I am Justin Ragers, joined by... Okay, guys, really? Did I just lose connect?
That's Brad's cue.
Brad always messes
well,
it.
I felt like I had to, keep the quota going there, or the status queue. It's a brand Renault.
Hold up,
The
boys.
status quo, is that the word you were looking for?
I think so, but it kind of just escaped my mind.
And AJ0 is also here, joining Ragers and Randolph.
Yeah, so yeah, guys, if you didn't know what that video was, we are talking about the KFC console. I just realized something. I don't think my thing's actually live.
2022, everyone buy them.
It didn't actually give it a release
Only
date.
for the chicken.
I'm kind of on the fence about it. I could definitely see it never being released. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if it was never released. And if it is released, I hope the water cooling on it is fantastic.
I just hope it can protect against the grease.
I'd be more worried about the heat.
I don't know.
But I mean, before we get into that, you want to explain to them exactly what that is, Justin?
Yeah, so it's just a console that's going to be made by KFC. Some of the specs on it, you're going to get like an Core i9, the 9th gen, which is actually a gen behind now that I'm thinking about it. But hey, still, an i9's pretty good.
It's early yet. They could update it. If they didn't release it until late 2021, they could easily put an updated processor in there.
Yeah, but for sure, like I said, it's going to be VR ready. This is the KFC console. Ray tracing. Yeah, it's going to be able to do 240 frames per second, which blows like the old consoles out of the water. I don't know about the new ones. I'm not terribly sure what the new ones can do. But still, and a 240 hertz output with 4K TV gaming. That's pretty good, depending on what the price range would be. I mean, that's the big thing.
That's the big kicker. I mean, basically, it's a gaming PC. It's not really a standalone console with its own KFC operating system. That would be pretty darn impressive, and I'm sure that would be pretty expensive to make. But yeah, it's basically just a PC. So if the price is right on it, maybe they could maybe it could go somewhere. I can't imagine a chicken heater is very expensive. So putting one with an expensive piece of machinery probably wouldn't jack up the price that much. Maybe more of a novelty thing.
Oh, for sure. Sorry, there's something I had a technical difficulty, so I had to fix that real quick.
Your life is a technical
difficulty. It kind of is at this point. I mean, that's the standard when it comes to either I'm live streaming, doing something. It's like, bruh, really?
I mean, so let's just speak speculative. I can't say that word. Just ignore that. Let's just give it a price range where you think the price range would fall on it compared to a brand new console, and considering it's not a console, and compared to the cheaper end of custom made, custom PCs and gaming PCs that are on the cheaper side. Where do you think that would put you in price range on something like this?
Well, in reality, just from looking at the couple statements there, I'm gonna say just because it has, a logo, you're gonna be looking probably about 2,000. Like that's the minimum is 2,000.
Really? If it was
I wouldn't.
I don't
No.
think so. I think 1,500 at most.
Well, okay, if you look at it just based off of what's kind of showed on the actual site, so you're talking about $200 for a custom build master cooler. Then you got anywhere between 250 to 500 for the hot swappable GPU, and then about $200 for the solid state. So right there, you can just add those numbers up. And then if you look at VR ready technology, that's going to be a little pricey putting it in there. And then being able to just be able to play in the 4K as well.
I mean,
And then have
most
240 frames per
PCs.
second.
I think though,
Like,
by the
like
time
what's,
this comes,
what's your
I'll let
go
you
ahead.
finish. No, I'll let you go.
Okay? What's your PC at right now, Brad? What is that?
What was the price
That's
of my PC?
What was the price of it? And then that's also what are the frames per second on it? That's also VR ready.
For mine, it was 1,400. But again,
And
that's not even the top of the line, though.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not a top of the line gaming PC.
No,
Yours
but
has an
you're gonna have
i9
to
in there,
take
right?
in consideration just because it has KFC on it. KFC has
Yes,
never
yes.
produced a console, so the
That's gonna
ability
jack the
for
price up
them
for sure.
to actually push out the console and the manufacturing for it, they're going into something completely new unless they have partnerships behind it who's already been making this kind of technology. That's where it's gonna come from, is just the
So you want
manufacturing
to
alone.
say around $1,500 without the big old KFC logo on the front of it.
I would say yes, if we didn't have the KFC logo
Okay. No,
on it,
that makes
and it
sense.
was an actual manufacturer that's been producing them. Like
Yes. Yep.
KFC's not a technology
They don't do that.
manufacturing; they're food
No.
business.
No. It's going to be expensive for them to just to produce one of those.
And to take this into
They don't really have that
consideration,
technology.
do you actually think they're gonna make this console as like a big global, like, oh, this is the next Xbox, this is the next PlayStation, or is this gonna be like very short quantities that you can actually get of this console? Kind of like, we're just gonna send a little bit and see how it goes.
Like a
Kinda
limited edition.
Limited
sort of
edition
deal.
kind of deal. So that's another thing you got to take into consideration.
I think this is it might be popular for like a few minutes, maybe not a
Yeah.
few minutes, like maybe a month, but what this is gonna turn into is a collector's item. And it's gonna be one of those
Yep.
things that you store away because they did it and then wait like 20, 30 years and it's gonna be worth some money.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's going to be more of a novelty item, more of a collector's item. I don't think it's going to ever be something that's super popular. Like, oh, what do you play? You play Xbox, PlayStation, or KFC? I don't think it's ever going to get to that point. And that alone could jack up the price of it because if they're not really, I can't imagine they're expecting it to be a great, like with one of the big time companies. I can't imagine that they would be stupid enough to think that it's going to compete with one of like Xbox or Microsoft or Sony. I just don't think that'd be they're paying those guys way too much if that's what they think.
I don't know. I think it'd be kind of cool to be, yeah, I'm gonna go home and play on my KFC. Yeah, that'd be kind of interesting. Get hungry.
Mean, the only difference other than a collector's item is the chicken warmer.
Bro.
And it sounds so ridiculous when I say that, but when you're eating chicken, do you sit there with a bowl of chicken in front of you and you sit there and you just start mowing down while you're playing video games and you got half a chicken sticking in your hand and you're still playing video games?
If you're talented enough, you can do
No.
it. If you are
Yeah, but you don't
talented
like
enough,
chicken
you
grease
can
all
do
over
it.
your shit.
Okay.
I've done it
can't
with a donut. And it
That's
was
How much-
fantastic.
I know how much
That's different.
Ranulph likes it, or Brad likes when you eat food and you just go rub your hands right on his controllers, dude. He just loves that, dude.
One way to get yourself into Murder Town.
Any distinguishable person, any reputable person of the world does not like things like that at all.
What are you trying to say here?
So do you do that? Will you go out and eat some greasy food? You got like pizza like in your hand, pizza grease dripping down your fingers, and you still have your hands playing games? And if you say
not too
yes,
often.
you're
Not too
wrong.
often.
Exactly. You don't want to. Nobody wants to do that to their equipment and their electronics unless they're just. I won't go there, but you guys get my gist. So
Yeah.
I think, it's going to be more of a collector's item, more of a novelty item, but it's a shame because I mean, just with what it's the specs on it, if I wouldn't buy it for $2,000. I could get something,
No.
an actual gaming
You
PC.
could get a PC.
I could get an Alienware for that price.
We're not going to get into that conversation. You know how I feel about Alienware. They're a little
We're just gonna
overpriced.
The only way to go.
sweep that aside.
Okay, we're not going to go into Alienware. All right. No, but I mean, it kind of seems like that'd become kind of like troll. Because I mean, you cook the chicken, you're going to have to wash that thing. I could see so many people ruining their stinking like custom console just because they're like, oh, I got to wash it now. Like, jokes on
I
you.
imagine there would be some sort of tray in there that you pulled out and you washed and then dried thoroughly before
it shows
putting
that.
it
It
back
shows
in.
the tray coming out.
Yeah. Okay. So
But it also shows everything wrapped in aluminum foil, so grease doesn't go everywhere, but into the aluminum foil. But
it has to
yeah.
it has to be pretty good sealed so that even while it's in there cooking or in there keeping warm and you like leave it in there for a while, that no grease is going to be able to get, or condensation. You don't want any steam that comes out of the chicken to collect on the top and then run down the sides into the hardware of the console. I mean,
actually, maybe this thing gets so hot that it cooks your chicken.
yeah. Now that would be kind of disturbing. It's not a chicken cooker. It's a chicken warmer.
Nope, it just gets so hot.
And honestly, I could probably put a metal bowl on top of my Xbox, and it would probably keep my chicken warm.
I wouldn't know about
put
that.
one on top of Brad's, and it would probably cook the chicken.
Yeah, dude, that thing's ancient.
You don't.
That's like the second released consoles?
Dude,
Or no, it was right when they first introduced the first terabyte Xbox One.
When you
I think mine's the first generation of it.
Yeah, when you turn that thing on, Brad, your Xbox literally just yells, "Kill me!"
No, it actually makes pretty cool noises.
I know, but
you have the Advanced Warfare Edition, which is way cooler than all of the other released.
That's the only cool one that came out, because Advanced Warfare wasn't good, but I mean the console that came with it is pretty cool. Yeah,
the sound effects when turning on and off the console were cool. The console looks cool. That was definitely a good thing, and I think I want to wait until they do something like that with the Xbox Series X before I actually get my hands on one. I want them to be regularly available. Once Halo Infinite comes out, maybe they'll come out with an Infinite console that would look pretty sweet.
We'll see whenever that comes out. Yeah, for sure.
Fall 2021.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that is. But no, definitely, yeah. So it's interesting. Definitely interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how much more I have to say about the chicken warm and KFC.
Yeah, the only thing I would actually say is like, I mean, because if it does do well, if the KFC console does do well, you think that would get like other fast food to try doing it their own kind of consoles as well, like McDonald's, because it's like you think they would try getting into the game then if this actually does like really well,
Maybe, but I would think it would be more like, okay, let's say they really took off and it's like 3 years later, they're coming out with the KFC 2 or whatever. And they're coming out with they're coming out with the next generation of chicken cooking consoles.
Plus soda dispenser.
And now you can go to KFC, eat in KFC, and they have like game consoles in little lounge areas. So you can go there, buy your bucket of chicken, put it in the chicken warmer, and sit there and play video games on your account. You just sign it on your account, play your games on this console for a while, and eat some chicken. Like, that'd be kind of cool. Like, if there was a restaurant that was like that, I mean, I'd be kind of down with it.
Yeah, that'd be
Only if they cleaned it off for the grease.
Oh, they would have to keep up on their hygiene of everything, and it would be kind of a trust deal. You'd have to trust the people that are going in there to actually wipe them down with alcohol wipes and stuff like that.
Yeah, we know that wouldn't happen.
No, probably not. But it would be cool. Kind of like the Barcade here, and what is that place called here in Green Bay?
Oh, Player 2?
Yeah, it's like a bar / arcade. Why can't we have a restaurant / game lounge? So I think it's a good idea in that sense.
Well, I just don't think right now, during the current circumstances, that it would thrive.
No, but they don't even have a release date. So I mean, hopefully this is all blown over and people can go out in public and
Well, Anyway,
Excuse me there for a second.
You disconnect again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
we can hear you.
Can you hear us, bud?
Yeah, I got cut off there. I lost my train of thought now. You guys take her away.
No, I think we were pretty close to wrapping up on that one.
Okay.
we're Gucci.
Did you really just say that?
I think you did.
Yeah, I did just say
I
that.
think you
What?
did.
My God. What have you come to?
What?
Look what you've become, Justin.
What about it, man? A lot of people say Gucci. All right, we're going to the next
Carry
thing.
on now. Yep.
All right, so yeah, next thing we're gonna go over is
Is that gonna be
20
the next
crazy
console?
console. We
The
didn't even know
Rager
existed.
sponsored Gucci console. It's diamond encrusted in 24 karat gold, and it's got the Rager's Harambe right on the front.
Change that. Have you not seen my new logo, guy?
Why would you change it? Do you not support Harambe anymore?
Ooh.
All right, let's carry on now.
All right, so yeah, no, we're just gonna go over 20 crazy game consoles we didn't even know existed. We're just gonna, there's like 20 of them, so we're gonna go through it at a fairly good pace. I think we're not gonna get too stuck up on them. Maybe.
Skim on past them.
So the
Yeah,
first
like
one,
a couple of them we might get stuck on. That's all right.
the first one on the list is the Action Max. Do I have to read what it is? I probably should. All right, but no, yeah. So what it is it's a video games have long toyed with the sensor technology, but Action Max failed to make it. Particularly, there are two crazy strikes against the console. According to PC Mag, it requires a separate VCR to play, and players had to stick a giant red sensor onto their TV screens to pick up the controller. Not even Duck Hunt needed that.
So basically, it's if you want to compare it to something that people might be more familiar with, would be like the Wii with the little sensor that you have to put up there. It's similar to that, except you're putting this gaudy, large red sensor into the TV just to use a small little, probably a sensor that doesn't work very well on the gun or whatever little motion sensor controller that you're using.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks cool.
I don't know. I mean, does it say what year this came out? Someone want to look that up quick?
I can
Yeah,
look it up.
Because then you can compare it to what they already had at that time.
Action
1987.
Max.
Okay, so 1987. That's probably pretty cool. It obviously didn't work out, but they already had Duck Hunt in 1987 at the arcades, and they also had not the
1984
Terminator.
was Duck Hunt.
Yep, and they had. I don't think that was on a console or anything that you had at home, but it was one of the big arcade machines with the guns you pull out.
Published
and you would,
by
shoot the ducks
Nintendo
as they
for
fly by.
Nintendo Entertainment System video game console.
With
So-
the
Duck Hunt.
regular Nintendo.
Yeah. Nintendo Entertainment System video game console. Yep. That's what it was originally on Duck Hunt.
In
So-
1984.
1984. Yep.
Oh, that's okay. I thought that was a little bit later. That's actually pretty impressive then. All right. So I wonder. Well, it makes me curious what they why they failed so much. If there was already a console out there that was able to do basically the same thing more efficiently.
Yeah, because I mean, if I could get like a Nintendo system where I could shoot a duck versus having to go buy a whole new VCR, buy the headset, buy the attachments, buy all that,
Yep.
stick something on my TV. Yeah, no. I would
Yeah,
not.
it seems like they over-engineered it for it to
Yeah.
just fail anyway. All right, well, okay, you want to move on then?
Yeah. The only thing I got to add comment is they're probably like, they were doing this before Nintendo. Then Nintendo came out. They're like, shoot. I want to say something else, but whatever.
Want to read the Vectrex?
Yeah, you want to read about that one?
Sure. So the Vectrex, it's basically a console that had a display built into it, but pretty much the only thing it was able to do was a few different types of games, and it only had the color blue that you were able to see, and it was such a small part of the screen, were pretty much the size of your regular smartphone on a, pretty decent or it's not that big of a tube TV, but
It's like a flat-screened tube TV. It's probably about a foot long, maybe half a foot by half a foot squared for the actual screen size of the glass, but you only get a small fraction of that, maybe 3 by 2 inches little screen from the way the picture looks. What year did that come out in?
That I would have to look up.
I can look it up.
Just keep up as we're talking about them. Keep looking them up because it doesn't put the years on this.
It
Vectrex.
should. 1983.
19. Okay, see that's
Okay.
that's pretty early. So to have it's I don't know when the first mobile or a handheld console was released, but that's basically
2009.
from what I think it might have been late 80s. Sega had one.
I always forget about Sega. Yeah.
No, it was still. No, the first handheld game console is the Milton Bradley Microvision in 1979.
What the? Never even heard of that.
Okay.
But okay,
The mic,
fits
is
our
that
topic.
like the thing you put the disc in and you hit the little thing and it switches the pictures? Because
It's
that does not count.
No, it's interchangeable cartridges.
Interesting. Okay. So and the games were probably equivalent to this Vectrex. I could imagine. I can't imagine they were much different. Maybe some Pong, maybe some Snake game or something like that. But I mean, they were on the right track with the Vectrex. They were on the right track with having a mobile system like that. But it's not really mobile. But they're on the right track. I think it was a decent idea for them.
For sure. All right, we're gonna go with
the next
number
one
18.
is, The next one's a lot cooler. I like this one.
You want to read it then, buddy?
Sure. Do you have the pictures brought up on your stream?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's read it off then. At first glance, the Tesla arcade system looked to have it all. PC Mag reports there was a built-in steering wheel, a lever for changing gears, dials, and a holster with a rope.
He disconnected, boys. But no, it had a holster with a revolver-like controller. Today, game developers are all too eager to sell accessories separately. Well, Telstar offered it all in one complete package. By just looking at this thing, though, I mean, I would find this thing pretty darn cool. Like,
It looks slightly intimidating.
I don't know. I'm a pretty big gamer. I think I could handle that halfway decent.
I don't know.
I'd give-
break it.
Mom, I just broke the handle. All right, let's just see where that one came out.
I suppose.
But no, I mean, think about that. I mean, how many games I don't, like I said, ever since I grew up, there wasn't really a lot, even in my day, where it just came with an accessory like the handgun, a steering wheel. I didn't really get to use that a whole hell of a lot when I was growing up.
1976.
Almost as old as me. Oh. Did we fully lose him for good?
We'll just keep going. He'll come back in eventually. All right, so what is it? The next one, the Laser Active, looks like a Sega console.
Dude, that thing would take up my whole damn living room. You see the size of that thing? I would literally think that thing
like
would.
a little tower on your floor.
Oh, I would trip over that in the middle of the night so many goddamn times.
Like the name suggested, this system sought to capitalize on a brief but defunct laser disc format for gaming entertainment, and it costed about $1,000 at the time. That's kind of interesting. If that was like one of the first ones that actually started using that technology.
So let's look it up. Let me just pull it up so they can see. Laser Active. Oh, I can't spell.
We got it.
1993.
1993.
1993. So that's. I mean, I guess that is kind of old. Was that 27 years old?
Oh, that's before the first disc, I think. I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Oh,
That's pretty darn close. Oh, welcome back. Welcome
I got
back.
booted there.
we went right past the thing that AJ wanted to talk about too.
Yeah, we did.
Sorry,
How far
dude.
did I get on that before I got booted? Did I read it all?
No. You were at holster and
Wow. I went on for like a good 30 seconds beyond that. Wonderful. Where are we at now, guys?
we're at the Laser Active right now. We're talking
Oh,
about
okay, you guys didn't make it too far.
how big that dang thing was. Like, I think it's ginormous. And we're trying to decide whether
I mean,
or not that was before disc were even a thing. That's the thing. Was that like one of the first actual laser disc?
Well, I see a giant cartridge in the front of it.
Yeah, but it did take a disc. It was focusing mostly on laser disc. That's the thing.
Oh, okay.
That's the big thing behind it. No, but
Interesting.
it doesn't look like it's really that fancy and all. Besides the disc aspect of it, doesn't really look like it's a whole heck of a lot more fancy. So there's not really too much for me to talk about there. And $1,000 in 1993, that's a crap ton to pay for that.
That is a lot of money for that.
For that time. Wow, look at me.
And that's like the size of, that's the size of nowadays. If you had that full of the equipment that's equally stuffed full of equipment like that is, that you'd have one hell of a gaming PC.
You would. You definitely would. And I already said, something like that
way oversized.
I would frickin' fall and break that thing in the middle of the night easily. I'd definitely.
What year was that?
1993 is when this thing came out.
Oh, well, yeah, that's way. I think that was way before its time. Was that it? I see Sega in the picture. Well, it doesn't say anywhere that it was manufactured by Sega or anything.
I don't know if it was or not. That's the thing. It doesn't really give us a whole hell of a lot of.
Pioneer Laser. It's called the Pioneer Laser Active. It doesn't say anything about Sega.
This guy couldn't get it to work, so he started playing Sega instead.
Yeah, you can that big chunk on the front there. That's when the Sega Genesis came out, and you could put that other section so that it was basically an adapter for the old style cartridges, so that you could play them. That's the same thing that I see on the front of that laser active console. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. All right, so number 16 I can do. It is the Nintendo 64 DD or Double D. Well, not a full-fledged system per se. The 64 DD was a long-promised game changer that never saw the light of day, at least in the United States. What made it, oh God, I can't read that word. Ingenious. I'm stupid. I gotta crouch my head and read. Okay. Was that it could take screenshots off the TV, let players to share their artistic creations with other 64 Double D users, and even had a mouse. Seems like they're trying to turn it into a PC.
No, what I see is like more sharing. Like you can take screenshots of the screen from the games you're playing, and then share them and probably put them on like a memory disk or something. I'm not really sure.
Floppy disk, bro.
That's not what went in those, is it?
No, it was. These just took cartridges, just like a standard Nintendo 64. It was a cartridge. I don't know how they would have got it off. That's the one thing.
This one didn't even have any memory cards or anything like that. That was all in the cartridge.
Yeah,
basically,
it looks like there is a little like. In all honesty, if you look at this picture, it does look like there's a little floppy drive like thing at the bottom.
It does. But I mean that's cool. Kind of like they have that with all new games, or all new consoles, the Xbox, PlayStation, Wii, Nintendo, where you can share pictures and screenshots with your other friends on the console. But I don't really understand how that would work on a console that isn't hooked up to the internet and something that you couldn't just send a picture with to another console. You could connect two consoles maybe and share that way, but that's kind of lame even for Nintendo 64 days.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at it. The 64 is a magnetic disk drive profile of the Nintendo 64 game console. It was announced in 1995 and was released in Japan on December 1st, 1999. Oh, we never heard it, never seen the light of day here because it only sold like 15,000 consoles in Japan. So
1999. When was the first PlayStation?
That was 98, I think. PlayStation 1. Let's take a look.
The very original PlayStation.
Just kidding. It was
2000.
North America, September 29th, 1995 was the first PlayStation.
1995 the first PlayStation was?
Yeah.
We gotta start doing our research before we do these podcasts.
Sound like a jet. Wow. We sound like a. I thought it was 98, but that's maybe when I thought it was closer to but
I thought it was closer to 2000. Yeah, and I'm probably relating it to more when I was playing it. But so the Nintendo 64 back in when the PlayStation was out, was already an outdated console. I mean, disc. Once everybody started switching to disc, and you're playing games like that, the games were better. You had the memory cards. You could save things. You could save your progress, play the games later. So for them to come out with something like that at that time was kind of ballsy for them, which is, I guess, why it didn't work out.
That's why it went right down the toilet, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We're going to go to number 15. Hey, Brad, you still there? Are you sleeping or? Oh, I think we might have lost Brad now.
I think so. It took me forever just to find the room that I was in with you guys. If you want to send him another invite, send him another call, because it took me a while to find out. You weren't in the same chat room.
It still says he's in here.
Oh.
Oh, he's having
I said
difficulties.
difficulties.
It's all right. We got this. When technology
carry on for now.
F's us over, we got this.
I'll read this one since I got screwed on the last one here.
Here, I'll let you actually be able to read.
This one looks kind of cool. I haven't really done much research on this one. It's pricey, primitive, and puzzling are the best ways to describe the Mattel Hyperscan. According to PC Mag, this kooky system arrived in 2007 and revolved around the concept of putting card-like games on top of a red scanner to play. Not only was the technology spotty, but it cost $70, which was a lot to spend on a console with limited games that was made cheaply. So you'd actually put like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon cards on top of this console, and it would scan them into the game that you were playing.
That's pretty cool. What's this? I'm gonna look this thing up because that's actually pretty cool.
Neat. Even really... 2007 for $70. Let's say if you're a really hardcore, let's go for like Magic. If you're playing Magic, 'cause Magic's been popular for a long time, and it's still extremely popular. And I'm not sure if there's something like that. So let's say we can play an online game. Like nowadays, I can play an online game with somebody of Magic with my deck, with my Magic deck, and you just scan the cards on the console, and then you're able to use your deck while playing against other people. That's I like that. It's pretty cool.
That's a really good idea. And Brad's having some big technical difficulties. You gotta love it. But no, yeah, and it wasn't only made by it was made from the toy Mattel. So I mean, it wasn't like a big company that made this thing either, which is really interesting.
No, but I think they had kind of a nice idea there.
They did. Just nobody wanted it, I guess.
Oh, should we move on?
No, we shall stay here forever. Yeah, no, we can.
Wait for Brad for the rest of eternity.
We shall shit here. Shit. I can't speak, guys. Sit here and wait for Brad. Probably a message and be like, hurry up, fix it. All right, the next one is going to be the Philips CD-I. The Philips CD-I looked a lot like a VCR on the surface. While it could do more than just gaming, the console featured home-exclusive Nintendo titles. Business Insider reports that games like Hotel Mario and Link the Faces of Evil made their way to the system, even though it wasn't an official Nintendo console.
That's kind of cool. I mean, this Philips is a pretty big electronics company. They probably tried getting into the gaming world a little bit more, and they asked Nintendo for help, asking if they could throw a couple of their games on there, and they said yes.
Yeah,
it's pretty neat. I don't know. Do you see that little stick right in the middle of the picture there, right underneath the console?
That's like a remote, dude.
Just like a VCR remote.
Yeah, here, the little. I see what you're talking about. Yeah, I see that, like right in front of the console, right by the power cord. Yeah, it looks like a.
Yeah, it still kind of looks funky. It does kind of look like a remote control or something, but it's not a VCR, so it's kind of weird. All right, I'll get the next one.
We might have actually lost Brad forever. The only thing I find that interesting is there's probably a reason why this didn't really like take off. Nintendo probably asked a crap ton of money just to allow their games on that thing. I guarantee.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. I'm sure it didn't come cheap, but Philips is a pretty large manufacturer of electronics. I don't think money would have been a huge problem for them unless it wasn't profitable for them to have the games that people wanted to play in that year.
Because the only reason why I think, like I said, anybody would they'd have to buy it for like exclusively on that console. You would think then, because I'm
Yeah,
wondering, I'm wondering if Nintendo's like, we're not gonna let you have exclusives, but we'll let you still have them on there. Which then at that point, nobody's gonna be like, I'm gonna go buy the Philips CDI if they can get it on their Nintendo.
Why not? Yeah, just why? Might as well just have the Nintendo that can get all of the games that the Philips can, plus ones that can't. No, that makes sense. I'm with you there. Any update on Ranulph there? Is he going to be able to make it in? I saw that he actually left the party now. So yeah, he left. So now it's going to be hard for him to find it. So just send him another invite. It'll be a lot easier that way. And while you're doing that, I'll just start on the next one here. Imagine speaking voice commands to a video game console back in 1980s. RDI Halcyon was ahead of its time in offering both voice recognition and a headset, which is practically a must for gamers today. However, all these cool features came at a steep cost, with Portland Retro Gaming Expo reporting the cost at $2,500.
Oh boy, that's a little pricey even for now.
In the 1980s, that was the price of this console. And it had it came with a headset, so that would be nice for, you're playing games. They're going to be a lot more immersive. And voice commands. Two things that really get me about the voice commands is they could not have been that responsive. They were no, hey Alexa, turn off my kitchen lights, hey Alexa, open this game. So what were the voice commands really? I mean, what could they really do with them in the 1980s? I don't think they could have done a whole lot.
Probably, I guarantee you, half time they didn't even work properly.
Probably not. It was probably worked terribly, but it was probably a huge advertising point.
We have voice command that doesn't work. Well, even about 80% of the time, but still, we got it.
But that's a rich man's console in 1980s.
Yeah, that's just like, look at how much money I have.
You're not going out for Christmas and buying your kids the Halcon. No, it's just not happening.
That is not.
So that's probably another reason. Gaming, other than younger kids and arcade gaming in the 1980s, wasn't that popular. Like nowadays, you have people of all ages playing video games a lot. Like hardcore gamers can be in their late 50s, 60s. Sometimes people are still playing games.
Yeah.
But back in the 80s, it just was not that common unless you were a kid going to an arcade and playing them that way. So to buy your kid a $2,500 console is just out of this world.
Yeah, no, that'd be out of your question. Unless you're like just rolling in the money, that'd be the only way.
Yeah,
I'd be getting that.
I'm sure some rich people had them, but it probably wasn't enough to. It probably wasn't enough to actually make a business out of it.
I mean, if you could find this and somebody has, they could probably get a lot of money for that, though.
I feel like it would probably be worth about the same it is.
Same
it is now.
Hold up. Hey, Ranulph, you back, my man?
I am.
Wow, welcome back.
So the Halcyon, however you pronounce it, was actually never released to retailers. So there was very few that was made. It was planned to be released in 1985. The first voice command console that did get released is called Dragon Dictate, with a priced at $9,000 in 1990.
Okay, so can you look up quick what those voice commands were? Like, what did the voice commands? Yeah, I mean, what did those voice commands allow you to do in the game? Because they still don't have a lot of in-game voice commands.
That is right.
I'd like to see more of that. I know you can with. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brad. You would know. Mass Effect. There's voice effects for or voice controls for Mass Effect, right? You can control your squad.
It's still very limited to what you can do. Like, you can tell them to do an action and use a power, but I never really got into it too much just because I didn't have a Kinect during that time, so I didn't get to play with it. I just know it was available.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's pretty rare. So if they were doing something similar to that in the 80s, that would be a big idea back then.
See, the thing is, we're all talking about, it'd be cool to have voice commands in the game, but I mean, Their attempts at it, like with the Kinect and everything, would you even say that's like was that a huge success, the Kinect?
No, definitely not.
That's the thing, like, we all want it, but I mean, maybe some gamers do, but it doesn't seem like it's an actual thing that a lot of people want, because if everybody was asking for it, we'd have it by now, I'd guarantee you.
Yep.
That one.
Yep. I agree.
I don't
No,
really see much of what it's actually able to do. From what I see for the Halcyon or the Health, however you pronounce the dang console, but I guess the speech recognition on it would take too long to process, so a lot of
Mm.
times it would limit it to the keyboard only use.
So in game, you're pretty much just count that out for in-game commands.
Pretty much. I don't know exactly what it means by what it could do to move the character or anything like that. Doesn't really per
Yeah,
se. But we'd have
it
to
probably
really
could have.
dig. We'd really have to dig into this one to find exactly what it was capable of doing.
I don't think anyone wants to.
Definitely.
What do we got next there, Rage?
I just realized I forgot to record the thing. Good thing is I can download the VOD off of a thing, so it's not an end of the world.
You're gonna have some editing to do, my friend.
It's fine. It's fine. I had some editing to do the last one too, so
Yeah.
no big deal. I can just skip through a lot of the gibberish. Brad, you want to do the next one since you weren't here for the last couple? We're on number 12, by the way.
Sure, I can read it. Look, the Xave port.
Zavi, I would imagine.
Zavi, I think it's
port?
Zavi
Sure.
port.
Wasn't eye-catching or colorful on the outside, but had technology ahead of other consoles for its time. According to PC Mag, the controllers had motion sensors. Motion sensor technology for games that were reminiscent of Wii Sports, yet the system predated the Wii, so it technically beat Nintendo to the motion sensor.
Is that a cartridge I see on the front picture? Must be, yeah, baseball.
I think that
Navi
is a
baseball.
cartridge.
And then, so it must have not been too long before the Wii, but it wasn't Nintendo, and it wasn't PlayStation, and it wasn't Xbox, so it never really hit it big. That's interesting.
I'm trying to. And released in the United States in 2004.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I wonder what they used for the motion sensing controllers. I don't see anything in the picture. But I'd be curious to know why it wasn't successful, because the Wii was very successful in my opinion.
Yeah, because they had baseball, bass fishing, bowling, power boxing, high hand golf, J-Mat, whatever that is.
So all the same stuff that
Wii Sports
the Wii
had.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
And
the
Wii
big thing
Sport-
that
Wii
comes down
Sports
to it,
specifically wasn't very popular, but
it was actually
Right.
very no. Wii Sports I think is one of the top games of all times on the top games.
really,
Yes. A lot of people played that, man. It was a very popular game, and I guess what
but
everybody
not
played.
for very long.
I think it was around for a hot minute. But to get back to why this one didn't do so well, the big thing like I said, it's not one of the big companies. It's not Nintendo. It's not PlayStation. It's not, all that. Even if it's a good idea, they probably just didn't have the money to advertise out to everybody. Be like, hey, look at what we got here. So the reach
It was
that they
probably
had.
very, very limited compared to Nintendo.
Yeah.
On the Nintendo Wii, you could play all your Mario games, or you could play games like Wii Sports with the motion more around the motion sensor controllers. But you could also play your regular Nintendo games on there, like Mario and stuff like that, Zelda. This was probably pretty strictly those sports style games, so it probably didn't have a very large selection of games to choose from. So why buy this that has something, or I can buy the Wii that's got all the games that I play, plus these new style of games that are pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I'll get the next one here. If someone wants to look up the year and a little more information while I'm reading. It is the APF M1000, a cartridge-based game. The APF M1000 came with 2 controllers and accompanying docks so they could sit on top of the system. Fast Company reports that in addition to a joystick, the controllers had a 12 button numeric keypad. The console's games were less interesting though, with Hangman, Blackjack, Bowling, Tic-Tac-Toe, and Pinball, to name a few.
Yeah.
Okay,
Does-
so that they kind of lost it with the lack of good games. I see that gun though,
Yeah.
that motion controller gun though.
Yeah, that looks
Curious to
pretty
know.
interesting.
What year was this released?
Take a guess. I looked it up. Take a guess. What year do you think it came out?
I mean, it looks early 90s, but due to how little popular, I would say 95 to 98.
95, 98. What do you think, Brad? Or did you look it up? We lost him again. His internet's pretty bad right now, I guess.
I guess so.
Yeah,
What year? So what year is it?
1978 is when it came out.
Oh, okay. So that
Yeah.
1978, you didn't have games that were much better than Hangman, Blackjack, Bowling,
Yeah, you
Tic-Tac-Toe.
really didn't.
Galaga, maybe Asteroids, Pong. You had games like that, but I mean, Hangman, Blackjack, Bowling, Tic-Tac-Toe, Pinball. I mean, those are
Casino, Hangman, Pinball, Rocket Patrol, Space Destroyers. This is kind of what they had on there. UFO Sea Monster, Break It Down, Rebuild, Shoot. Probably shooting some sea monsters that popped out at you or something like that.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that's still, for its time, I mean, I don't think that's that terrible of a thing. It doesn't say what the price range was on it, though, from what I could see. Yeah, there's nothing really saying how much it was when it came out. That's probably another factor. It was probably expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
And like I said, just around the 70s, not a lot of people even were like, video games?
No, not for at-home consoles anyway.
Yeah,
Kids would go out and play them, but there was at-home consoles were still very new at that point, so it was probably ahead of its time. The next one is pretty interesting though. I like that one. If you want to go ahead, or I'll go ahead and read this one. If you want to send Brad another invite there.
Yeah, I can try.
This is Fairchild Channel F. It's isn't a name that exactly rolls off the tongue, they say here in the article, but it was a game changer. Business Insider reported that it was the first gaming console to use cartridges. So everything after that used cartridges, this was the first. And they had one-handed joysticks. So you had a one-hand joystick, and that was it. That was your whole controller. It was a singular joystick. So I'm assuming you were playing games like Pong and Snake and maybe Tetris or some other games like that. But if I'm not sure what year that was, but I would probably put that in the late 70s, early 80s as well. So that's kind of a cool game. It's Atari. It's basically an Atari.
Seems very similar to.
I mean, that's all Atari had for a long time was just a single joystick. The joystick looked a little better, and Atari got the best name of it. So Atari kind of won out in that fight, in my opinion. That's what I would base my assessment at.
Yeah, when do you think it came out? What did it say in there?
I'm gonna put that one at 1980.
1980. And it came out in America in 1976.
Okay. All right.
The retail price at the time was $169.95. That's equivalent to $763.58 in 2019.
What year did the first Atari release? That had to have been early 70s as well.
Yeah. Atari. Let's take a look. What was the first one called? We'll just look up the first Atari. I don't know. I think it was the 2600?
I think it was just called an Atari.
1972, I think.
Oh, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So they were so for one, they were already after. They were 4 years after the Atari came out. I'm not sure what the price on the Atari was, but I don't think it was that much. I think it was a lot cheaper. The games would have been about the same. Single joystick would have been about the same. So they were basically an overpriced version of Atari trying to get into the market.
Oh, sorry. It was actually 1977 the first one came out.
First Atari?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was before the Atari.
Was before the Atari, yep.
Just too expensive.
Just that price.
Yep. Otherwise, if they would have been able to cut costs, maybe we wouldn't even be talking about Atari. Maybe everybody'd be talking about the Fairchilds.
I couldn't even imagine. Man, how's your Fairchild? That's just a weird
I still
name.
got a Fairchild from 1975.
Yeah, it just sounds really weird. I don't know what to say.
This next one came out in 1972, the Odyssey, the Magnavox Odyssey.
Yeah, I've actually heard of
That's,
this one. I actually heard of this one.
I have not. It looks like bring the arcade home sort of deal. I see the 2 joysticks on each side, so that 2 people can play. And like I see Pong there, so 2 people can be playing Pong. Very simple. Back in 1972.
Yeah, it's very easy. Easy peasy
What
kind
was
of
the
game.
price on something like that?
Let's take a look here. I'm going to take it was probably $120. That's my personal guess.
Oh man, that's expensive. I'd say 100,
Yeah.
100 or less.
And-
Otherwise, it's just
Yeah, it was $99.95. Let's see what that's equivalent to in today's standards for money.
that would have been like $600.
Yeah, where the hell did it go, bro? This is a long list.
Yeah,
Oh.
so that's a lot of money to spend. Even $500 nowadays. That's a lot of money to
$611.
spend.
$600.
Yeah, that's a lot of money to spend on Pong.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
and a console that simple. Yeah, that is crazy. But that's also 1972, so it was way before even the very first Atari, and that's pretty impressive that they were kind of digging their feet in at that early in the game.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just kind of stuck at what number 8 is.
Yeah,
It looks
I'm
like a
assuming
giant Lego.
that's exactly what it looks like here.
Viewmaster Interactive Vision. Strange name? Check. Strange design? Check. Strange gaming experience? Check. The Viewmaster Interactive Vision hits all the right or wrong points to make it a crazy system. What made it somewhat revolutionary is PC Mag points out is the fact that games incorporated video footage and different sound players could control.
That's really cool. So basically, cutscenes. It basically started cutscenes. So let's say you're playing something like, let's say Galaga, and you defeat all the little ships that are coming your way, and you beat level 5, and then boom, then you get a little 2-minute video along with the game as like a cutscene, kind of like a little movie explaining maybe even somewhat of a storyline with the game. So that's kind of revolutionary, if you ask me. But the design is just
Awful.
absurd. And I see some kid stuff in the background, so I'm assuming it was
More
probably
towards
made for
kids.
smaller,
Yeah.
children.
Because that big bird.
But
Let me
that's still pretty awesome that they were implementing actual video into it. Did you ever send Brad that?
Yeah, I
invite?
did. He's offline now. I think he just gave up or something.
Well, we can finish this up quick, and then I think Paladins is on the list.
Yes, indeed, guys. We are actually going to give Paladins a try tonight for gaming after the stream or the podcast. We'll do a little bit of
speed on
podcast.
through here.
Yeah.
Go ahead with the next one, Justin.
We will go to 3DO. Is that DO? 3Do. Let's call it a 3Do.
3DO.
3DO. 3Do. All right. What made the 3Do crazy? For one, not every model was alike. According to the Business Insider, several companies made the system, which meant their specs varied between whoever made it. With a revolutionary approach to game console, it was ultimately one that didn't catch on despite its attempt to be ahead of the curve in the early 1990s. I find it would be really weird to go out and buy a console that's not the same specs, not the same everything. I just find that really wonky.
Well, I mean, back then it wasn't about that. Nobody cared about the processing power of it or the graphics card or anything like that. They just wanted basically the games that you could play. And I'm not sure what year this was. Oh, catch on despite its attempt to be ahead of the curve. Okay, so it's in early 1990s. So think of it like you're going to buy an MP3 player, in the early 2000s. You go and you buy an MP3 player, and
A
yeah, they
what?
had your name brands like an MP3 player.
Never heard of it.
Oh, shut up. But if you were just going to get something that held music, you weren't thinking of the specs on it, and they were made by different companies, a whole bunch of different companies, and you just wanted one that had a good enough space and could play your music. And I think it was the same thing for gaming consoles back then. As long as it did what you wanted it to do, had the games you wanted, it was so much less complex than it is now.
As
I
long
don't know. They probably cut down price of it as well.
as my MP3 could hold the songs I got from LimeWire, for God's sake.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I mean, one thing I think that is a fault, because if it was the early 90s, I mean, the whole thing with the cartridge and like this video kind of deal here. Oh no, that's a disc, isn't it? Can't see if that says disc or not. It looks like
Yeah,
a
it says
video.
disc. Yep, that's a disc.
The disc, okay. Never mind then. I was
Yeah,
gonna
you
say,
can see it right on the front of the console. It
well,
says
hello,
disc.
dude. I got some really bad vision, so yeah.
And it looks like the one in the picture was made by Panasonic. That's kind of interesting. So it'd be like buying a TV.
It
What do you
would
buy
be,
a TV for? To watch TV. As long as, and nowadays it's with graphics and everything, but back in the day you just wanted a TV. It doesn't matter what brand it was, as long as it was a good TV. And it was the same thing with the gaming console back then, I imagine, for them.
more than likely. Oh yeah, we can go to number 6 now. We'll carry on to number 6 here. I'll let you read this one.
The TurboGrafx 16. Game cartridges have come in all shapes and sizes. Portland Retro Gaming Expo reports that games for the TurboGrafx were the size of credit cards. One of the perks to the system were all the games it supported too. It's a good thing games were so small, which made larger collections easier to store. So you could, I mean, I can see the cartridge there. It looks like a thick, really, really thick credit card, basically.
Yeah.
It just slides in the front there. And I'm not sure what year that was. But in the cartridge era, if I just want to just put it in the cartridge era.
It was probably more than likely a cartridge.
But they're pretty slim, slick cartridges for that, which is pretty neat.
It doesn't really
I don't think.
say. Well, yeah. 1987, 1989, I think, for the United States. So
that was towards the end of the cartridge area. So the cartridges, instead of like other gaming consoles that had probably already started moving to discs in the early 1900s, like the last one, the 3DO, they were just trying to make the cartridges smaller.
Yeah, so this kind of seems like this was like a experimental kind of console. Like they knew that like the thing or the cartridges were just way too big, so they're like, and there's something that has to be done and change it. But this was their attempt to try changing it to be the next big thing, just really small cartridges, I guess. But
and then
it didn't
probably
catch.
a year later, discs
came out and then
popular, and just threw that one right under the rug.
Yeah, but I mean, in my personal opinion, I mean, the durability though, these things were way better. That's the thing. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Especially the early discs were terrible.
Oh, yeah,
you get one little scratch on the early discs,
you're done.
And you couldn't even play the game anymore. It wouldn't like make it past the first loading screen or
Doesn't
anything.
matter how much toothpaste you have, my man, you ain't getting that disc to work.
Yeah,
the toothpaste trick.
I never used that.
You never did that?
No, I never did. I had a little disc washing station that.
Oh, he was fancy about it.
The little handheld one. I had one of those, but no, I never did the toothpaste trick. But no, cartridges were definitely way more resilient. I mean, you could leave one of those out in a storm, in a hurricane, pull it in the next day, dry it off, blow it off, and then you put it in, and it would fire up.
Oh, you're right.
Well, we'll move on to the next one. I'll read this one because I like it. It looks cool.
All right.
The NTEX Adventure Vision. From what I'm seeing before I even read it off here is it's just like a tiny little arcade game. It's for 1982. The NTEX Adventure Vision had a lot to offer as far as gaming systems go. The built-in screen was something of a technological marvel as handheld museum reports it used 40 LED and a spinning mirror to pull off its graphics. They were originally sold for $80. The same source reports that they can go for as much as $1,500 today.
Dang. Yeah.
So right off the bat, I'm going to point out the fact that they were using these LEDs in 1982, that's impressive.
Yeah.
If I had $1,500 and I was a big console collector, I would want this in my collection. I would have to have it.
Oh yeah,
That's
for
really
sure.
cool. Spinning mirror. I've seen spinning mirrors used in old 70s beer signs, like at a bar or something. They have beer signs and they add actual like little pictures and images that are actually surprisingly good. But all it is LED lights and a spinning mirror. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's really actually be interesting. Fortunately, I have never seen one because I'm not that old.
I've seen things similar
I've
to
actually,
that. I've seen little tabletop arcade games similar to that, but not that.
I know my work was selling a tabletop Pac-Man little thing.
Those are pretty popular remakes right now.
Yeah, I know. But either way, we're gonna go to the next thing called the Apple Pippin
Is this Apple's first
with app.
first
While
electronic device?
I might possibly let me read this real quick. Well,
It is.
Apple's
it is.
console may not look as attractive as their other products, let alone other gaming console. It was ahead of its time, according to the PC Mag. Apple hoped to introduce not just a gaming system to consumers, but a computer as well. The console ran on their Mac OS, which powered their computers products at the time. Let's see when that came out. I mean, as much as I hate Apple, they do always try to make things like standard and reinvent things. As much as I am not a fan, between 1996 and 97 is when it came out.
So it had a disc.
Oh yeah, it had a disc. It was a disc one, for sure.
Mhm.
It was sold at that would do the trick to not why it didn't sell too great though.
How much did it go for?
$599.97.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow, that's absurd.
That's absurd.
I mean, I think the controller looks kind of cool. I think if it wouldn't have been so expensive, it could have been a popular thing.
Yeah.
If they would have been able to make it cheaper in 1997, Apple might be one of the contenders in the console war right now.
They might be, but a lot of people are like, "What do you mean? Apple's a big thing. They charge how much for their stuff now?" I'm like, "Yeah, but at this time, Apple probably wasn't a super powerhouse for what they done at the time. 97? I don't even know. Would they make computers? They didn't even have like phones or anything, so it was just their computers. Apple, I'm assuming were founded because, I mean, at that time, Apple probably wasn't even that popular of a brand.
No, I don't think so.
Huh?
There was no iPhone.
1976 it came out though, but it's still, I don't think it was. It wasn't until the
weren't
phone
mainstream.
era till
No, I don't.
Apple blew up.
The
then.
computers.
Their computers
computers.
were.
I mean, every
Maybe.
freaking school had those stupid blue-backed Apple computers.
Let me know in
You
the
remember
chat,
those?
guys. Do you remember? I remember the blue back computers that I had using the
Those
computer
things
line.
were so goofy. Oh man.
Yeah, but I love to
Well,
have
that
my
puts an end to
computer
the stream
time.
for me. My phone.
Okay, guys. His phone just crapped out on him. Well, that's a rip, ladies and gentlemen. So it's just Ragers left in here. 2 hosts dropped like that. Oh, well. I'll just read quick what they were for the last 3. The Epoch cassette Vision. It may not look like a video game console when compared to PS4 or Xbox One, but the Epoch cassette Vision offered a feature-long abandoned by systems today. Built-in controllers. Business Insider notes that players had to huddle up around the console if they wanted to go head against each other. I mean, that just become kind of weird thing because I mean, seeing a group of guys just huddle around the thing, that would just be kind of weird in my personal opinion. But hey, each their own. And I'm going to look when that came out real quick because it didn't really give us a date. And we always like to know dates when this came out. This came out roughly July 30th, 1981. So, I mean, you can see why it's... I don't know. It wouldn't be my cup of tea, but it's definitely interesting, as I would say. We're going to go to number 2, which is the Neo Geo Advanced Entertainment Center. Here's a console that costs more at time of release than a PS4 or Xbox One does today. According to Portland Retro Gaming, the console was $650 and games alone were $200. The controllers were massive too to turn consumers to a system with stunning visuals and state-of-the-art sound for its time that it was. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely interesting little features about it. We got to check when the time was that it came out, because I mean, if it's like the 70s, then damn, that's impressive. But once again, though, for the 70s and that time, that's a little ridiculous. 81's, oh no, okay, I didn't copy, never mind. Sorry, guys. This is a rip. All right, let's put that in there and see when this came out. 1990? I mean, it was okay. 1990. I could see that's a big machine. It seems like an arcade. I don't know. At that point, I feel like people weren't really getting into more of like the arcades and things like that anymore. So I feel like it wouldn't be I could see why it failed in that personal opinion. Especially for that price in the 90s, $650 and the $200 for a game if you wanted to get a new game. Heck no. That would not be for me. Number 1 is the Ouya. It wasn't that long ago that the Ouya came out, and not much long after that it reached its and the console came to life thanks to a Kickstarter. It was tiny, affordable, and had flash storage that actually ran on the same OS Androids use. The real potential resided in its open source approach, where there was a new avenue for gamers and developers. I don't really know. I'm gonna look when this came out. I mean, it looks interesting, especially if it was like running off Android. So it's kind of seemed like it'd be able to play like a lot more mobile games. So it'd be like playing your mobile games on an emulator now. That's kind of what it seems like, my personal opinion. June 20th, 2013. Yeah. That's definitely seems around like the Xbox time. So it was a lot more open source, so you'd be able to like get a lot more games for it, a lot more free games, just because, like I said, if it was more like the Android, it would definitely be more free. I can't believe I lost everybody. That's a rip, boys. But either way, guys, yeah, no, that's kind of the 20 things. That's kind of the crazy consoles that we never heard of. I've like heard of like one on this whole list. So a lot of interesting consoles that came out that I've never knew existed. Kind of makes me want to become a video game consumer, as they say. But anyways, guys, I do appreciate you guys coming on by. I was Justin Rachers. I would say that we had 2 other guys, and they lost connection. So now it's just Justin Rachers left. We will be going live once again. I'm going to be playing a little bit of Paladins with the co-host here. So if you guys want to play some Paladins with us, let us know. Sorry, Smiley. I know you're going to want me to play COD Mobile, but I did promise these guys I was going to play some Paladins tonight. So I will be back on. If you guys want to see what Paladins is all about, feel free to stop by, do all that. If not, I guess I'll see you again when I stream, which will probably be tomorrow again. But still, I'll be on in like probably 15 minutes. So see you later, guys. Have a good one.